Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Resilient Warrior Nation podcast. I'm your host, Mike Morgan. Today I have a very special guest, former Navy SEAL Zack Ferguson. He and I have actually done a live, I guess about 3 months ago, and it went phenomenally well. So I want to bring Zack in for a full podcast. And let me just read Zack's bio here. It's very impressive, of course. Zack was born in Anaheim, California. Zack joined the SEAL teams in 2015, and after receiving his Trident, he was assigned to SEAL Team 7. Zack has one augment deployment to Iraq with SEAL Team 3, then had two deployments with SEAL Team 7, both to Africa and the United Arab Emirates, respectively. Zack has graduated from Sniper School, Point Man School, JTAC School, Com School, and Combatives Instructor School. Zack has both suffered and healed from various traumas using plant-based medicines, specifically ayahuasca and psilocybin, and is now using his platform to promote their incredible healing effects. Additionally, Zack is co-owner of the Defense Strategies Group, and I'm going to let Zack explain what they do and their mission. Zack, welcome to the show.
Michael, thank you so much for having me on. And congrats for the new podcast. I'm fired up. I know it's going to do super well and hit a lot of people.
Thank you, bro.
Basically, absolutely. Defense Strategies Group is basically, Mike O'Dowd was on SEAL Team 7. He actually put me through BUDS training, and he founded it in 2020. The mission and purpose was to create meaningful jobs for veterans to find purpose after leaving the military. So basically, we teach civilians, law enforcement, just anybody how to shoot guns and defend themselves and their families. Anyone from like a soccer mom to like Redlands SWAT team. So just a broad spectrum of people that are still going to get better and build a community of people who are like-minded, just trying to get better and become more capable, like warriors overall. We just opened a gym training center in LA in Beverly Hills. So we teach combatives, fighting with and without guns, mixed martial arts training, kids class, stuff like that. So it's been a blessing to be working with Mike and Angel and Cameron, just with the boys again and just sharing our knowledge every single day. So can't believe it's my job. It's incredible.
Yeah, I know. If you enjoy what you do, they say you don't work a day in your life. And I know from watching Instagram videos of all your training, both jiu-jitsu and the shooting, it's so realistic based. I think it's phenomenal what you're doing. And, from a retired cop of 30 years, the skills that you're teaching these guys is so needed and so able to be used. Hopefully no one has to, but if they do, your training's unbelievable.
I appreciate that very much. We take very, very much pride and joy in doing that. So we're happy to do it. We're going to continue to do it till we change the trajectory of people becoming more capable,
Absolutely. And for people that are looking at Zack right now and not really sure where they know him from, if you watch The Family Stallone, the realistic reality show involving the Stallone family, season 2, episode 1, yes, Zack is on full mount on one of Sly's daughters. He's one of the 4 instructors that Rocky brought his daughters to learn self-defense techniques. So how was that experience, by the way?
It was awesome. First of all, like growing up before weightlifting, I started lifting at 14. I would just watch like Rocky montages and like Rambo scenes like on repeat until sometimes for like 1 to 2 hours before the gym. I just got super amped and like, so he was like definitely like an idol growing up, like a male figure that's like masculine and like yeah, this guy's badass. So
yeah,
it was super fun. Very, very sweet family, and he's a really cool guy, like super down to earth. It's a pleasure.
He seems very humble. Most people can't fake it when you see him over and over. He's just got that humility. And to echo your sentiments, I remember if I needed gym motivation years ago, I would literally watch Rocky, get pumped up, and I would literally be good for a long time period. He was just incredibly inspiring, and God, I would love to have him on the show just to hear about his journey, because that man he had doors shut in his face left and right when he was young and just kept pushing, and it's such a great lesson for everyone watching.
Just a never quit attitude,
Yep.
Like I say this phrase a lot: if you never quit, you'll never know how to, and that's just like my life in a nutshell, and it seems like that's Sylvester's too. Like, he got to where he is because he just never said die, you know.
Yeah.
It's super impressive.
What do they say? The difference between a quitter and a victor is the victor got up one more time.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's that easy.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Yep. So, Zach, please tell us about your background. Just tell us about growing up, your family.
Yeah, my family's from Charlestown, Cambridge, Massachusetts, and they moved out here to Orange County in the 80s. So I was born and raised here. And, my dad left a drug-filled, bank robbering lifestyle that all my uncles got into, and a lot of them went to prison just to raise his kids and his family. And I was like, what a fucking rock star of a dad to, move his whole life here just for his kids. So working 14-hour days for 7 days a week to provide. Wow. But still took me to baseball, still was my baseball coach. I'm like, how do you have the bandwidth to do everything? So I got my work ethic from my dad. My mom's the most loving, nurturing, best mom ever. So I was so fortunate to be raised by absolutely incredible parents. And have twin sisters, older brother, great relationship with them. My dad was a baseball coach up until 13. I quit baseball because my heart wasn't in it anymore, and I wanted to do something else, which shatters his heart. He was starting to use again a bit. Went to rehab a couple times, and then was just sitting at home after that incident, and I had an existential crisis on my computer, just writing myself an email. It was weird. My parents were literally on the couch next to me, and my headphones on. I was typing really fast.
Okay.
And I drafted myself an email saying what I want to achieve in my life. Why the fuck am I here? And it was just grand accomplishments of UFC champion. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger bodybuilder, some crazy shit, president, a bunch of stuff.
Aim for the moon, baby.
Yeah, it was warrior driven based. It was I wanted to be UFC champion because I loved warrior culture and men who are just willing to go to the death to fight with what they believe in and protect who they love. So that's what I wanted to do, be a warrior. And then I found out later what that actually entailed.
And then just to go back, so when you said your father started using again, so did he have a prior drug habit, and what was he using?
Yeah, so in Boston at the time, it was a lot of Oxycontin.
Okay.
But for him, it was Xanax and methamphetamine and a ton of weed. So that was the main stuff. But at that time, it was mainly benzo abuse.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, listen, man. Everyone's got their history. I had a opiate problem. I went to rehab 12 years ago. Got clean, and this is from a guy who's never done a drug in his life. So, listen, it can happen to anyone. It happens for various reasons. None of us want to feel pain. We take drugs to dull the pain, and unfortunately, these habits get out of hand. So, yeah, it sucks. So please, now you're 13 years old, and you wrote that. That's incredible awareness for a 13-year-old boy to be writing something like that.
Yeah, it was I don't know how it happened exactly. I think it was just my mind being primed throughout my life, watching Gladiator and 300 and stuff. So I was okay, what's how can I be a warrior at the highest level? Mine was UFC champion, so I loved UFC growing up. These guys are fighting in a cage, And so I started training mixed martial arts at 16. I was training with Mark Munoz at Rain Training Center. So I was fighting Chael Sonnen, Mark Munoz, the UFC fighters when I was 16. Just getting whooped all day long.
Yep.
So, and I got stand up. I had 5 MMA fights, and now I'm 20. And my dad finished the Boston Marathon when he was living there, and he had the picture of his timestamp and his photo crossing the line, hanging up a picture like that in our living room. So every day I would walk in the living room and see the picture. It's literally fried in my brain. And I was watching the marathon in Orange County, years later when I was 20.
Busting it
And
down.
me and him are watching it together on the couch and just see the terrorists blow a bunch of kids up and innocent people. And I had another out-of-body experience. It was like I was in the living room, but God like came over me and just went like this and smacked me in my face.
Really?
And he said, "You're being a selfish prick." Those are my words. I probably didn't say that. But that's what my interpretation was. What I felt like. You're being a selfish prick. Your goal is not to be a UFC champion. That's super selfish, self-centered, self-goal. Doesn't really do anything for, people use that platform now for good, but it's a very selfish lifestyle. And he said to go protect your family, friends, and loved ones in your country. So I said I need to join the military, and I decided what I wanted to do in the military.
That's amazing. You got that calling. I had like the same calling when I started thinking about it. I had an accounting degree, graduated from college, my first day on the job, fell asleep by 11 a.m. and I started thinking about what I want to do. And bro, you just feel it. It's like something that starts to possess you that you have to do inside. People that have had the call understand. Others are going to look at you like you're nuts. Like, why would you want to do that? But you just feel like you were put on this earth to do that. Is that kind of the way you felt?
Exactly. My goal was to be a protector. Like, I just envisioned myself so much fighting to the death for some reason. It sounds weird, but I envisioned death at a young age for some reason. So like, it didn't really scare me because like, I was willing fully to do that for anyone. So I wanted to join the military and say, how can I protect people at the highest level? And my best friend, his cousin, was in the SEAL teams, and he said something to me that I don't even have to write it down because I'll never forget it. Yep. He's like, if you want to do this, you must be willing to die. And at the time, I was like, I think I know what you mean, but like, what kind of training is this? Because I don't know what SEALs were. The fuck are we gonna do? So,
did you say die? Like lose your life?
Yeah. So I said okay. And then I sat in my room like a weirdo in the pitch dark for 6 months. Like, I stopped training because I was like, I'm going to do this. But I was like, I had to get to that mental space. So I would sit in my room every night with the lights off and just like think about, do I really want, am I really willing to fully? And, about like 5 months.
So can I ask you something? As you're thinking that, say you go in the room that night and you ask yourself that question, what are the thoughts running through your head?
Am I willing to leave my family at such a young age? I thought about my dad a lot. I was like, what would it do to him if I died young? Because I was like his rock and like he's mine.
Okay.
So I was like, am I okay with that? And I was like, well, what if he was running a marathon and he got blown up too? Then I'm like, fuck these motherfuckers, I'm going. So I was like, there's evil people that need to like not live here anymore.
Yep.
And then I had this like, I describe it as a reaver because it was like literally, it was like a dark figure like overcasted me over my shoulders while I was in my room. And he said, if you're really saying yes, then I'm going to test you. And he brought me to like this door that was closed, and he opened it and it was just black inside. It was like, this is what death is. And he like said, you need to go in there if you're willing to. And I said, yes. And then I signed papers, cut buds. Yeah.
Yes, and sign. I'll tell you, that's I've never heard anyone in my life describe what you went through as a young kid. And essentially, you're not even. I wouldn't say you're a man yet. You're almost a grown man, but a kid getting that deep and that introspective. It's pretty impressive, and to see someone really, really, truly think it out is amazing to me. I mean, I can't say I got that deep with it. I knew I had to do it. I knew I wanted to do it, just like you wanted to protect. There were evil people. I always hated bullies. I remember being in Atlanta, and I was an Atlanta cop, and it was one of those jobs where we didn't know if you were coming home alive at the end of the night. It was so insane. And I remember looking in the mirror. I was taking a shower, and I was thinking about death. And I never feared it, man. As weird as it sounds, like you, it's not false bravado when we say this. It's just nothing special. It's not toughness. Just I don't know, man. Some people born in that mindset and others aren't. But I got out of that shower and I looked in the mirror and I'm like, God, if it's my destiny to die, and I don't glorify death in any way, shape, or form, want to kill my family, my close friends, but if it's my destiny to die, please let me kill the guy that kills me. That's all I ask for. And like you, it's tough to explain to people if they don't understand it, but I'm talking to you and you know exactly how that feels.
Yeah. And
So-
it was hard to. It was really hard to. Thanks for sharing that. We have the same, like, our minds are flowing for sure. It was really hard to explain to, like, I wasn't good with, like, giving people perspective or, like, my thoughts. It was just, like, blunt force trauma, like,
Yep.
I'm going to go to die. And they're like, what are you saying? So I couldn't, like, elaborate why I was going and, like, leaving my friends and my family. So that was, like, frustrating to, like, you guys don't understand. But it's I couldn't elaborate to them.
Yeah.
So I cut off all relationships with everybody. My family became second priority. All my friends were second priority, because I wanted to protect them, and I had to, like, leave them essentially behind in the back of my mind to enable, because if I had any sort of attachment, then I would quit in training.
Yep.
So I was luckily able to, like, elaborate that. Now they know why, but so yeah, I was signed. I did my PSD contract, went to Buds, and went to boot camp in 2015.
Okay. So the initial boot camp, how was that? Piece of cake for you, Navy boot camp?
Yeah, it was just, like, for lack of a better term, it was really gay, like, folding folding clothes and, like,
And he means that a PC way, everyone.
in an easy way. It was just like, let me just do these 8 weeks and so I can move on to go to Buds. So
Yeah.
it was easy. It was just like, just a check in the box type thing.
Yep.
And then I went to Coronado in May 2016. I went to Buds.
So let me ask you, I never talked to anyone, but like your first day of Buds, what time does it start?
Well, the first evolution's at 4 a.m., but we're up at like 2 a.m. to, like, clean the offices, like, do a bunch of, like, admin work, and then 4 o'clock a.m. we start.
So at 4 a.m. when you're starting, right before they blow that whistle to start, you have to be incredibly nervous. Are you like, what the fuck am I doing here at this point? Are you like, let's roll, man, I'm ready?
It's funny. We had a guy ring the bell to quit like 3 minutes before we started.
What?
Yeah, and I was like, bro, we haven't even done anything yet. But that was like the wait. I think part of the reason why that you're up at 2 a.m. is so that you could, like, you're basically, like, the anticipation's worse than the actual event, we say. And
Okay.
a lot of times it was. It was like you're sitting there, like, your mind just, like, fucking rolling.
Yep.
And yeah, we just got hammered for like 4 hours on the grinder, just surf torture. And I was like, this is exactly where I want to be.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank God you had that mindset.
Yeah.
I cannot even imagine. So how many guys did you start with?
We started basic orientation, which is like 3 weeks before first phase with 220. And then we classed up first phase, class 319 with 209. 209 guys we started with.
Okay. So talk us through the training, highlights, lowlights, what really affected you.
So the first week it was like day 4. We did evolution called the Beehive, where you jump in the pool with full camis, boots, a charged mask with water, and I had a deviated septum for when I broke my nose in MMA, so I couldn't, like, keep the water in my mask because my nose, I couldn't breathe out of my nose. So I was just gurgling, like, absolutely having a horrific time. And the instructors were seeing that and just gave me extra attention, to say the least. And
And not in a good way, I assume.
Not in a good way.
Yeah.
And then I was literally drowning, and like, that dark figure, I guess I described a second ago, appeared again, like, clear as day. I could draw a picture right now. And then this time he walked me to that door, like the edge of it, and he said, we were talking about this a few months ago, go inside or quit. And I don't know if I did this with my hands or if I was envisioning it, but I did this to him. And I walked inside and I took a step in the door, and I woke up on the side of the pool and drowned. And the instructors, like, slapped me back to life, vomited, I shit my pants. and the instructor said, "Go ring the bell." And I said, fucking A, I'm not, like, no chance. So get back in the fucking water then. I said, cool. I picked my mask up, and then he said, stop. As I was like jumping in, and I was like, I'm not quitting. And he said, everybody out of the pool, all the instructors were yelling, and I looked to my right, and my teammate at the time, James Derek Lovelace, had drowned as well, and he wasn't able to be resuscitated, so he ended up passing away in the pool deck. So that was the 4th day of first phase.
Wow. That's incredible, man. And so when this is done, are you guys done for the day, I assume, at least? I mean, I can't even imagine.
One would think, but no, I think we went to chow right after, and then got beat a little bit, and then they brought us in the classroom after that and said the news, and then like the rest of the day was pretty much done.
Yeah.
We went and had his funeral the following day, and then day after that we went back to training. It was just one day of funeral, and then yeah.
So let me ask you, how did you? I mean, that's just a heartbreaking story. 4th day of training. Going forward now, how do you correct this problem with your deviated septum and the problem breathing?
Good question. I didn't, because it would have taken me out of training, so I just suffered through it, and it became a big problem in the second phase during dive phase, which I'll get to in a second. But no, I just got my nose fixed this past February, so I can finally breathe.
I can't even imagine that, going through that with one working nostril essentially.
Yeah, jeez. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I was working on like 60% oxygen the whole time.
Unbelievable. And the crazy thing is, you had all that time prior to going to training, but you had no idea that it would affect you like that. Correct?
Exactly. It was like I broke it. I broke it when I was 13 because I threw a rock at a basketball. It bounced back, hit me in the face. Had surgery. Broke it again during fighting, and I said, "This is like my normal." So I didn't know what it felt like to breathe normal.
Unbelievable. Like, holy shit, I could have got this corrected years ago. And now we have to deal, but it is what it is. Yeah. So you get back to training, and I know you had another incident in the pool, correct?
Yeah, so let's see. I did the 50-meter underwater swim, which is in that little documentary. Excuse me. You jump into a front flip, swim 50 meters without surfacing, and then that's the test. But like what they don't show you on camera is like you're doing burpees or getting beat, and then they're like, get in the water now, so you're like fully winded. And I jumped into the front flip and I started swimming, and I was like, there's no chance I can make it. But I'm like, I can't surface, so as you surface, you quit. So I kicked off the other side, and I took one kick off the back, and boom, just knockout, and then was on the side of the pool again.
Oh my God.
I had to retake the test like 3 days later.
And obviously you did well, but this is how long into training now? The second time it happened?
That was like at week 2 or 3, so I had trained like twice in like 3 weeks or something like
Jesus. That. Groundhog Day, certainly not the way you want it to be going.
No, not at all.
It's unbelievable.
That we started Hell Week, which is the 4th week. So now we're down from 209 guys to I think like 110 or something.
Okay.
And then Hell Week was on Sunday. For those who don't know, Hell Week, you wake up Sunday morning at 6 a.m. and you're up till Friday afternoon, just doing like log PT boats on heads, surf torture. And it was like, definitely the most horrendous like thing I've ever done by far.
I can imagine. Do you think today, like, your body still suffers damage from what you went through for that week?
100%. Yeah, like bladder problems. My sleep was so fucked for so long. Luckily, I didn't like tear anything, but it's more of like my brain and my bladder, and like sleeping at night is like was really bad. I didn't.
And what do you guys got?
I didn't really feel recovered like semi for like a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So let me ask you. We'll just fast forward for a second. Once you guys finish Hell Week, what do you have to? How do they kind of rehabilitate you guys back into your body feeling normalcy? You know, for them, not that it's going to, but
yeah. So we finished Friday, and we finished with like maybe like 49 dudes or something like that, and then the weekend off. Monday we have like a walk week, whereas you everywhere you run, you go in buds, you run. That week you just walk everywhere, like light stuff. So basically just having a walk week to recover, and I wasn't able to like hobble for like till like Thursday or something. So
Wow, that's incredible. But let me ask you the feeling, man, when they call you guys that Friday and they tell you it's over. Like, have you ever experienced a feeling like that in your life before or since?
it was as good and as happy as I could have felt, but your brain is so dumped of like you have no dopamine, no serotonin, no sleep. So it was like amazing, but I don't think you could really feel like what it meant until like a couple weeks after, to where you're like had some sleep. But no, it was amazing. They had the American flag, like all the instructor staff shook their hands, and it was incredible. Like I'm with a bunch of dudes who just literally would go until they died, and I'm like, I respect and love all you guys so much. It's incredible what like the human body and human mind can withstand. I knew like it could take abuse, but fuck, yeah, it's so capable. It's so resilient.
It's amazing what you guys do, and I've seen a few of those conclusion of the Hell Weeks on video, and I can't imagine the feelings. And it's funny, I think in my mind, if I gone through that, I think, and you tell me if this is true or not, I think every day of my life, for a second, it will pop in, like, there was nothing that I can't conquer because I just did that. Like, is it a frequent thought of yours?
Yeah.
And it's not bragging. I don't mean that in a bragging way. I mean, like, there's no one that can break me.
I never once thought about quitting because in my mind, I'd already have died before I went to the Navy. I committed to that goal, so I didn't care if I died. As sad as it sounds, I was like, I'm passing SEAL training or I'm dying, and I'm good with either one. So yeah, I just was like, there's nothing on God's green earth that I can't accomplish at all.
Yeah, that's incredible fortitude, man. I mean, how do you beat a guy that's got a mindset like that? You can't.
You have to kill him.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds like these Mideast terrorists, man. It's the only way they're going down.
Yeah.
I always say, how do you reason with a man that embraces death more than he loves life? I think they're going to get these 72 virgins, and you have to kill him. You can't speak to him. You know, you're not going to reach compromise on a lot of these guys. It's amazing their mindsets, but that's evil. But all right, so anything else in buds that kind of you think about? And
so we finished from start to finish. We finished with 9 original dudes. So now I'm with a group of dudes that are like so special and close to me. So we like went start to finish with each other like all the way through. So we just built like an incredible bond with those guys. And yeah, the rest of the budget was shitty, of course, but it was fun, obviously. And yeah, I went through actually Mike O'Dowd, so the Defense Strategies Group. He was an instructor in 3rd phase. Okay. So like beast of a dude, like incredible human being. Fought each other on the island, like Gundam Combatives, which the program he started. So he's an awesome instructor, amazing like mentor. Just want to shine some light on him because he's like one of the most like key pivotal people in my life. So love that dude. Yeah, we finished buds and we go to SEAL qualification training for 9 months.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that once you finish buds, you don't get your training, correct? So you have to go to additional. And can you just explain SQT SEAL qualification training to people?
Yeah, it's just 9 months. Now they're like showing you. Now they have the guys who are not going to quit. Now they're going to give you a baseline skill set: shooting, diving, combat diving, jumping on airplanes, CQC, close quarters combat tactics, land warfare. So basically, like the foundation of what it means to be a SEAL and the skill sets, tactics, stuff like that. So that was a ton of fun. Then nothing too hard. It was more like training and coaching you up. And then I got orders to SEAL Team 7 in 2017.
Okay. So you started in 2015 is when you joined the Navy. Now we're 2 years into your training, and you're assigned to a SEAL team.
Yep, SEAL Team 7, and my platoon was already in Iraq at the time, and like finishing up their deployment. So I got to go to comm school, JTAC school, and then they got back and went on post-deployment leave for a week. So my chief asked me if I wanted to augment SEAL Team 3 in Iraq while those guys were on leave. So I went there in December 2017.
Okay. And how long was that deployment for?
It was supposed to be for a 90-day augment. I went there, went to an outstation in the Haditha Dam. It was awesome. Nothing like too crazy because probably like 3 weeks in, I started getting really sick. And I was like, damn, my throat hurts pretty bad. I'm getting a fever. Obviously didn't say anything to anyone because I'm a new guy. I'm not going to complain about being sick. And then like 3-4 days passed. I haven't eaten. And now I'm like really getting sick. And I was peeing like in a bottle and it was like brown. And I was with a new guy medic. And as it came in, can you look at my throat and stuff? And he's like, sure. And he like shined a light down my throat and he's like, you need to get evac'd out of here. You need to go to a hospital. And so they life flighted me to Baghdad, and I had mono infection that was closing my esophagus. So I already can't breathe out my nose, right? Because my deviated septum. And I had no airway. I couldn't eat or drink. So they had to I had an IV in me for like 4 days. I was in the hospital. Fluids, antibiotics, and I had mono infection, and it just fucking blew my throat up.
Unbelievable.
And then,
bro, how do you get mono in is this a forward operating base?
I don't know if it was I think so. We got our food through from the partner force, through a fence that were attached to us. It was like rice and weird stuff. And I was eating that. I was brushing my teeth with I wasn't using a water bottle, so I was using the faucet water, and so something along those lines.
Okay, some type of contamination.
Yeah. So I dropped from 170 pounds to 153 in 9 days. And they're like, dude, you need to go home to the U.S. and recover. And I was like, I was no use to no one. I couldn't even lift a 40-pound dumbbell.
Wow.
I was jacked. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I flew home and recovered back in the States.
Okay. So let me ask you, when you first go to the team, and maybe it's a little bit different when you went to Team 3's deployment, but how were you received as a new guy? Is it, welcome, or there's hazing going on and no one's talking to you first?
At Team 3 or my team?
Both.
So, excuse me. Let me clear my throat real quick. One second here.
Yeah, do your thing.
Getting sick just talking about it. I went into a super humble, open mind, of course. Didn't say anything. Just what do you guys need help with? How can I be an asset to your guys' platoon? They were very welcoming, and they actually had jiu-jitsu mats there and invited me to train with them. So I built that nice rapport of martial arts together, and and I was good. So I think I got a baseline level of respect just because I knew how to fight well. But they were awesome, man. We got along great. With my platoon, kind of the same thing at Team 7. I just shut my mouth and was like, how can I be an asset? Because they just come off of a heavy Iraq deployment. So I was like, I'm all in on, all fucking in. I had no relationships. I had my friends were in my platoon. It was just work out, shoot guns, and fucking be an asset.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's good that you have that humility. I've just seen a few videos where guys said they came out and they were hazed or they wouldn't talk to them, and I don't agree with that. Especially, I used to field train rookies, and there were some FTOs that believed in kind of creating a higher stress environment. I'm like, why? There's enough stress here, man. Teach them. They don't know what they're doing. We all came out the same, like little babies. If they need to get a foot in their ass, all right, do it at that point, but why create stress, man? They're on the street. It's stress enough. They don't know what they're doing. And I don't know. I just don't agree with that. Listen, little hazing's cool here and there, but silent treatment and, treating these guys like shit, I don't agree with that. I don't know why it's done, to be honest with you. You'll see guys talking about the difference between conventional forces and then they went to Green Beret or Delta Force. And they were gentlemen. They, went right in, helped us with everything. And that's the way I think things should be. A little bit of hazing, yeah, but I mean, guys are here to learn, and especially you guys. You proved yourself in many respects before you even got there. And unless you're an arrogant kid who thinks he knows everything, treat him with respect too.
Yeah, that's the most of the hazing was for for the new guys who had a bigger ego or were arrogant or didn't like take what they were saying to heart. But I was just like, I want to learn from every encounter, from every person that I interact with. So I'm very quiet, but I'm just observing, like taking. I'm not saying everything everyone says is true, but I'm just like, I'll do my own research on that if I don't believe it, and like taking in what they have to say. Because like I'm a new guy with no deployments or a small mini one. Like, what can I learn? Like, how can I? Give me your lessons learned, and like let me learn from it. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that attitude, dude. I remember I was training a guy. I had like 26 years on. I was training a 21-year-old kid, literally 5 minutes on a job, and I forgot what it was, but he taught me something. I'm like, see, you have 5 minutes on a job. You just taught me something. You should be learning every day, you know. And I would tell the guys with time on, just because you have time on doesn't mean you know everything. You'll never know everything. So don't have that arrogance about you, man, because there's always something to learn, and anyone can teach you.
Exactly. Yeah. So my platoon got back, golf platoon team 7, and just got to work up for our first deployment. Awesome dudes. Yeah, we went to the UAE, United Arab Emirates. Nothing too crazy in that deployment. Some like hook and climbs and shipboardings and stuff like that, but it was not too much other than like working out, doing a jiu-jitsu and some basic stuff like that, but kind of some pressure over that because not like a ton there.
Okay.
And then I got back from there, and my chief asked me if I want to go to sniper school, and I'm like, fuck yes. That's what I want to do all the time.
That had to be a big ask, right, for a young guy? Like, is that a normal thing to ask you, such a young guy, to go to sniper school?
A lot of times you need like 2 deployments, and then they'll maybe consider you. I think like I was always a really good shot, and like I think they don't ask anyone to go to sniper school, so I think like I had proved myself up to that point, and my chief probably thought I was like the right fit for the job, so I went there in January 2020 in Indiana.
And how long is sniper school?
It was 10 weeks,
Okay.
and in Indiana it was fucking freezing. So we were doing like stalking in like slushy ice and snow. It was like -8 on one of our stalks. So, and it's all test driven. Like there's tests every like 3 days. You have to pass a test, and stalking certain like tripod shoots. Full mission profile stuff. I had so much fun there. It was like, I wanted to do that from the start, because I wanted to be a point man, which is like your platoon's lead sniper, to have you guys, he's in charge of like getting you guys on target safely, finding routes, and getting back safely. So I wanted that responsibility for my platoon.
Nice, that's a huge responsibility. And then I'm assuming these are high pressure situations when you're doing these tests in sniper school. So, Is it coming easy for you, or you know, how are you kind of getting yourself through the psychological portion of it?
I was really good at stalking, because just like sneaky and quiet, and like just had a nice like slow and smooth and like tactical mindset. Maybe just naturally good at it. But yeah, like they had the tripod shoot, which I took to the 3rd or 4th attempt. So that was stressful because like one more fail and you're out of there. So other than that though, I did really well and had a ton of fun, and was happy to come back to platoon saying like I passed sniper school and I'm ready to get after it. So.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so now you're certified as a sniper. What's next?
So after sniper school, we're getting ready for Yemen deployment. And then the COVID shut down, obviously, for a few months. And then we did our workup for deployment, and now it's March 2021, getting ready to go to
Can I ask you
Yemen.
one thing?
Sure.
As far as workup, we hear workup all the time. What exactly does that mean when you guys work up?
So a SEAL team cycles 2 years, 18-month workup of doing land warfare, skydiving, close quarters combat, tactics, training with your platoon for 18 months, going to schools, gearing up for your 6-month deployment. And that's the 2-year cycle. And then you rinse and repeat.
Okay. So when you guys are going to these schools during workup, are you all going together, or you guys kind of farm out and go to separate schools sometimes?
So there's something called Pro Dev, which is part of the 18 months. It's professional development. So guys go to schools, get their schools, and then we do another like 9 months of workup training as a platoon, and then we do our deployment after that.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're separated for a little bit, and then we are together all together.
Okay. Now, have you done Halo school?
Yep. Yeah, we did Halo. Halo.
How was
Halo. That? Oh, so much fun. I love skydiving. So we had a quick story on skydiving. One of my good buddies, he's out now, but we were doing a jump in Coronado, and it was at ocean land. So we threw the duck boats out, which are like those black rafts with a little motor that you see guys go to the surf with. So we threw them out of the airplane. They have their own parachute, and then we jumped after them. And the first group went, and then the air traffic controller is like, there's a great white down here next to your guys' boat. And guys like looking over the edge, and then it was like, green light, ready, go. And we're like, what do you mean go? There's a great white shark. So we jumped out. I'm fucking under a canopy. I didn't see the shark. Some guys saw it, and then it's right by our boat. It's like bigger than the fucking boat. It's like over 12 feet. And even
you hear the music in your head. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. Even funnier, one dude had a cutaway, which is not funny, but kind of funny. One dude had a cutaway during that jump, so he had to go to his reserve with the great white shark. But I guess the shark went down and it disappeared, but that was pretty funny.
Unbelievable. Hey, when you guys when you guys land with the chute all your equipment on, how do you guys get right back up? Do you just is there a quick inflation button you guys hit, and it kind of brings you right up on vests?
Yeah, really good question. I actually haven't been asked that, but that's a good question. So when you're like a couple hundred feet off before landing, you undo like your chest strap, which feels really weird.
Yeah,
and then as you land, you're doing your pull for your parachute to flare, and then you unclip your leg straps like as you hit the water, and then all you do is just swim forward. So you're already out of your harness as you hit the water, ideally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then so you're not really going down. Well, you're going down with a lot of equipment, all right?
Yeah, but
sometimes
you have these little foamies in your chest rig to make you like neutrally buoyant.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Always curious about that. And then one more thing, if you do a land jumping into land, what do you guys do? Do you guys bury your chutes and all your equipment?
No, we pack them up, either like stash them and get them later, or somebody else will pick them up. But most times we just grabbed them and brought them with, depending on where we were going.
Oh, okay.
But,
curious about that. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get back to it then.
So it's March 2021. My sister was diagnosed with Crohn's disease like at that time frame. So she, for those who don't know, you like are like shitting and pissing blood for like a long time. Basically, it's an autoimmune disease that they have no cure for. So she dropped from 130 pounds to 80 pounds in like 2 months. And so she moved back to my parents' house. So it was my mom, my dad, and my sister living together. Dad was relapsing hard on drugs at the time. And I was like, fuck, man. About to go on deployment. So I had to talk with him in the kitchen, like all 3 of them. And I was like, Dad, if I have to come back and save you, then I'm going to resent you for my whole entire life. And kind of didn't say anything. And then I went on deployment and was in Yemen, did like some like sniper overwatch type stuff. A lot of like TGMs, tactical ground mobility, gathering intel for a few months. Now it's July. And my sister texted me saying, Dad's like really bad, can you come home early? And I was like, it's a big ask.
Yeah.
So kind of sat with that for a few weeks. So I was like, if I leave and I'm a point man and like the number 2 man comes and dies, then that's my fault. And then my neighbor texted me. He said like, they found my sister in a pool of her own blood in the bathtub. And my dad carried her out to the ambulance while he was high on meth. And so I came home early. I asked my chief, and he said, "Sure, absolutely, dude. Go fix your family." And And I didn't tell my dad I was coming home early. I just wanted to surprise him to see what kind of state he was in with the drugs. And so I just showed up to the house, and he was up for 5 days on a methamphetamine bender, talking to shadow people, talking like about like blazing infernos and crazy shit. So, and my mom lived in the second floor of the house. My sister was in my old room in the bottom floor. And I was like, fuck, it's really unsafe for you guys to be here. I need to get you to a hotel room. So I moved them. And I was like, Dad, I'm going to go back to San Diego and check into the team. I'll be back in a few days. So I went back home back to San Diego. I didn't have a house because I came back early from deployment and we got rid of our apartment in San Diego. So I was just living in my truck. And I went to a Padres game with my best friend just to decompress for a night. And then my neighbor FaceTimed me, which he's never called me ever. So I picked up the phone and I was like, fuck. And
not gonna be good.
Yeah. So my house is engulfed in flames. And I felt so much anger. It was like wild. I thought I was like, my blood was fucking boiling. And then I was like, is my dad inside the house? I don't know, because I just seen my house torched.
Mm-hmm.
So I drove to Orange County and the fire had been put out, and I just walked through it at like midnight by myself. My dad went to jail for felony arson. And just walked through the house. The Boston Marathon picture is gone. My dad went to jail for felony arson, and I was just like crying my eyes out. Kind of a cool police officer I would like to share with you because you could relate. It was midnight and I was there for like 5 minutes, and then a police officer pulled up and just got out really casual out of his car, and he's like, "Are you Zach?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Your brother said you'd come." My brother lives in Utah. Or I'm sorry, he lived in Utah at the time. And he was like, "I'm really sorry." Just like shook my hand. It was like super, like he didn't have to come back to the house. He's gonna do whatever. He's doing other things. But the fact that he just, I'm assuming, kept doing laps until I shut up and just talked for a few minutes. I said, "Thank you very much." So I thought that was really cool. I wish I remembered his name, but if you're listening, thank you very much. That was fucking awesome. So a lot of respect. Yeah. So then everyone cut off my dad with communication, and everyone hated him, and I hated him. I didn't want nothing to do with him. And I got out of the Navy November. So the house fire happened in August. I got out in November, and
you got out why?
To fix my family.
Wow. Bro, I can't even imagine. I don't know if I would have done that, man, myself. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day because I know your story. I don't know if I could have done it, to be honest with you. The fact that you sacrificed, like, your everything. I mean, it had to be your greatest love for your family is, first of all, it's just fucking everything you need to know about you as a man. But I guarantee almost 100% of guys would not have done what you did. So every day of your life, man, think about that in addition to surviving Hell Week. Like that, and I'm not kissing up to my guest, man. Like that blows me away. And, that first time I heard your story was when I made that post on Instagram. Like it touched me. Like it was beautiful. And I'm not pandering to you whatsoever. I'm here to tell you, I don't think I could have done it myself, and most guys would not have done it.
I appreciate that. It was a hard decision to make. It was, and then when my sister's like dying, my dad is all fucked up, my mom's ignoring what's happening, and so I got out, and I was like, I need to. Well, before that, I just joined 10th Planet Orange down the street, doing jiu-jitsu 2-a-days, and just to grab myself, and I love jiu-jitsu, and it was like my anchor. Mm-hmm. And I was driving to jiu-jitsu, and I look out my window while driving, and I see my dad homeless on the side of the street, like skinny. He's out of jail at this point, just with no home. And I was like, how the fuck did this happen? And that was like the moment where I said I need to help him. So I said, well, I need to fucking fix myself before I could help anyone, because I'm no use to nothing right now. So I was so like, I had so much that I needed to heal from.
Yeah.
1 month later, I go to jiu-jitsu open mat, and just sitting on the mat, and this guy sits next to me that I've never met, and he's like, are you okay? Are you all right? And I'm like, no. It's such a random question to ask at jiu-jitsu. And it was
I
like,
can't believe you said no, though, because most dudes would be like, yeah, I'm cool, bro.
oh yeah, I was like so quick to say no, like, not really. I was like, no. And he's like, I have something that might help you. And turns out he's a shaman for ayahuasca medicine. And that's how I got introduced to like this healing journey. And, you know, I was barely talking to my dad. You know, this is January 2022. 6 months later, this is my ceremony date in June. And I went there with just like 3 intentions. I didn't want to overclutter my mind with too much stuff.
Yep.
So my first one was release anger and hatred towards my dad. And hatred's like a strong word. It's like resentment and like boiling anger was how I would describe it.
Of course.
Release that. It was to feel love again, because I was just like so desensitized with everything from the teams. And then it was to gain a closer relationship with God. So those are the 3 things I wrote down. And the ceremony's a weekend, so it's Friday night, Saturday night. Friday night, I'm sitting there having my experience, and I feel like a gust of wind, or at least like something like a fan on, like a high-powered fan,
Okay.
in the room. And I was like, who the fuck would turn a fan on in the middle of the ceremony? It's like kind of giggling about it. Open my eyes, and there's no fan, no door open. And I was like, what the fuck? Closed my eyes again. And then same thing happened, and then I like squinted open, and all the women were on one side, 10 women on one side, 10 men on the other side. We're in a circle, and all like the women, I'm looking at all of like their air. They're like weeping in unison. They're like all crying together, and they're blowing air at me. And I watched it all go in the middle of the room, and I followed it, and I tracked it into my stomach. And I see my dad in like a burning infernal fit. It looked like, and I thought I was having a stroke, dude. I thought I was fucking gonna die, feeling all the anger and at once.
Yep.
And then I like leaned back, my head fell back, my eyes opened, and flamethrowers flew out of my eyeballs.
Really?
And all the hatred towards my dad was like dissipated in 10 minutes. It was just like fucking flamethrowers, and I started melting after that. And
It's incredible.
I just felt like all like the woman love, like just spit all the anger out of me. And so that was my first 2 intentions were met: hatred released, and then feel love again in fucking one night. It's incredible. The second night, I was flying through cosmic space colors. Like, I was a first person point of view going through like cosmic space. And I was like, this is the most beautiful place I've ever been to. This is amazing. And I was like, where am I right now? This is all like internal thoughts.
Yep.
And I hear a chuckle, like, and I was like, looking around, who is that? And I was like, what place is this? He said, what do you mean? And I was like, this is the most beautiful place I've ever been to. What place? Where am I? And he said, this is where you came from. This is where you're going to go to when you die. And it felt like heaven. And I was talking to like God. And it was like an overwhelming amount of love. There was no other emotion but love. It was love forever. And it kept going as far as I wanted to for eternity. And I opened my eyes and I was like, whew. I walked outside, took a breather. And then I came back inside and said a prayer for my dad that he would reach out and ask for help, because he wasn't receiving anything else. It was just going one ear out the other. So I prayed for my dad. I pray that he asked for help. So ceremony ended, and I go to jiu-jitsu one day later on Monday and look at my phone, and Dad calls me out of the blue. Didn't even say hi. What's up? It was, I'm ready to get help.
It's unbelievable. You and I have been through these healing journeys with these medicines. People don't understand who haven't been through it. There are things that happen in these journeys and after these journeys that cannot be explained, man. It's like the universe at work. People are brought into your life. Your dad calling you the next day, similar to yours. Mine, unfortunately, I didn't have a good relationship with my father, but during a journey, 55 years of everything between he and I was just released, man. It was just gone. It was no longer there. There was no emotional charge. And similar to you, I remember I was watching the volunteers that weekend, and I'm like, man, these people are so graceful and loving and empathetic. I'm like, I want to be like them.
It's powerful, man. So powerful.
Yeah, and it's funny, man. We're taught that showing emotion is weakness. Was actually a sign of strength. And I was shown that weekend, man. It was like a gift that was given to me. And that Friday night, man, it changed my entire life. I had 2 more ceremonies after that, but there's so many things that happened to me, man. Like, she brought me a piece of being a retired cop. I was no longer that thing because I didn't retire on my own. I went out medically, never really said goodbye to anyone. I was just kind of 2 years long-term disability. I had 2 surgeries, and then he just retired me, so I was gone. And I don't know, man. I still had that longing, and then universe just told me, like, you're no longer that thing. Your time has passed. You did it, and I don't know, man. The empathy and the love was kind of brought back into my heart again. And my biggest message is, and this is why I wear the shirt. I was watching the Sean Ryan podcast, almost 2 years. Eddie Penny was a guest, and he was recounting a story of Extortion 17 going down. For those that don't know, it was a helicopter. Chinook shot down in Afghanistan. 38 people were killed, including 17 SEALs, which included Jason Workman, Eddie's best friend. And Eddie was telling the story, and he's visibly upset, crying. Man, I just lost it. I don't know what it was. Subconsciously, maybe this warrior's crying. It told me it was okay to do so. And all I thought about at that time was a 2-year-old found floating in a pool call I had 5 years before. And man, I lost it. And the first thing, this is before ayahuasca, the first thing I thought about, it still blows my mind, is I looked in the house to make sure my wife wasn't home because I was so embarrassed about crying. And my wife's the best, man. She's a life coach. She would have encouraged me to lose it. But that started me on my journey, realizing that PTSD and healing, it brought me to the ayahuasca, so you and I can relate, but it's so hard to explain to other people. But I mean, how do you explain it to other people when you're talking to someone who's never been through it?
That's a good question. How it's like you have to like do it to really grasp it, but the fact that like you have like warrior men like in like mad tears, showing like expressing like that says everything. That's like,
bro, I would have felt so weak.
Yeah.
Before March, man, I would have felt so weak. I would have been so embarrassed right now. Now I don't care. I could care less. People see me cry, man. And, watching you cry, like, you're a warrior and you're crying. So you got to tell me someone's going to make fun of you. Like, if you're making fun of him or us for crying, you're a weak man. We're supposed to feel emotions. We put on these uniforms and then we think, not that we think, but we end up being hardened men because we have to. You just can't absorb all this pain that you see. And, finally you realize at some point when it all boils over that, you know what, you're human, you're supposed to feel emotion. And I remember I'd gone to training this past April with GBRS group, and I was talking to DJ Shipley, and his journey with Ibogaine, that was his healing journey. And we were talking, and I'm like, DJ, you're the most hardened warrior in the world, but you're a human being first. And we don't feel, man. We're supposed to feel, and I feel again, and I love it. It's beautiful. And, I'm proud of the man I am now, and I was not. I thought I was broken, to be honest with you. I remember looking in the mirror, I'm like, what is wrong with you? You don't feel anything. And, unfortunately, that's a toll we pay for these jobs.
Exactly. You nailed it. I mean, I say this quite a bit on post and in person to people that like we're meant to feel all human emotion. Like God put all these emotions: resentment, anger, hatred, love, gratitude, gracefulness, humbleness, like happiness. We need to feel all of them. It's important to feel all of them. If we just box ourselves into I'm sad and happy, there's so many more emotions that need to be like, you just let it out, like feel all of them and like really grasp I am human. It's like, I say there's a quote like in a song, like, let me show you what it means to be human. And like sharing stories allows people to be like, these are all human emotions. Don't shy away from them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I just seen a documentary recently called Eight and Waves in War. Three of your former brothers, Marcus Capone, DJ Shipley, and Matty Roberts, who was kind of the journey after coming back from war, broken men, and showed their healing journeys with Ibogaine. But to a man, all of them had rough childhoods with their fathers. So, my message is to you guys out there, Zach's is a little bit different in that he loved his father, had a great relationship growing up, but most of us don't. And, I want you guys to think about that because it's made an impact on the entirety of your life. And don't diminish it, man. If you grew up with that trauma, you have to deal with it at some point. And inside, we're all little boys, as fierce as we become. Still little boys looking for that love, and we didn't get it. Whatever, I'm not looking for sympathy, man. It just is what it is. Maybe what I am. I'm cool with that. But give yourself grace and know that you still have to heal from that. Don't just blow it off like it was nothing. It was a lot. You were a little boy, man, in your developmental years, and you weren't getting what you needed for whatever reason. So you still have to heal from that hurt. I just want to tell guys because we're so focused on not looking weak and feeling weak, but it's not weakness, man. It's actually strength when you deal with your emotions and you feel.
Yeah, exactly. Like bottling up and compartmentalizing it or ignoring it doesn't do anything but just builds up over time. And it affects other people, that your loved ones in your life, negatively. And like us taking the big leap of faith to go, like ayahuasca, it's scary. Like I was super nervous.
Me too.
Like, and it was the most impactful, incredible weekend in my entire life, hands down. And sharing the story, just like know that it's okay to be scared, but you have to like jump into that dark, like the unknown of like. Just do it if you're scared anyway. Like you're scared, unafraid. Like just do it, and you'll be happy you did. I'm not saying do it. I don't tell people to do the medicine, but just listen to our perspective and our stories, and maybe it'll help you if you're scared to do it, or if maybe you don't know anything about it. Now you know a little bit, and just don't be afraid to heal. And it's a whole new life when you do. Whole new life.
It really is. I mean, I have a different perspective on everything. And I've heard a couple of descriptions. One is it's 10 years of therapy in one weekend, which is great. Excuse me. And then Theo Vaughn, I think, has got the best one I've ever heard. He said, it gives you the keys to open the doors to the rooms in which you were trapped. And it really does, because there are so many things, so many places, especially us as men. I don't mean to be chauvinistic here, women, but you guys process your emotions a lot more efficiently and better than we do as men. And that's what gets us into these things. Like I echo your sentiments. Most cathartic, profound thing I've ever experienced in my life, and I've done it multiple times since. And every journey is different than the other. But I'll tell you, it's effective for healing addictions, TBIs, PTSD, various traumas. Unfortunately, a lot of people have gone through sexual abuse. It just brings you to another dimension and opens you up to things you never thought about. They say the medicine doesn't bring you where you want to go, it brings you where you need to go. And, you and I could certainly echo that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it reaches your subconscious and like shows you the healing that you need. And man, it was like, I felt so much love. It was crazy. I was like, it's indescribable. And my dad did it shortly after me, and he's been sober since that day. And that was
really
October 2022.
So did he say he lost all desire to do drugs right after that? It was just gone?
Yeah. And
incredible.
What it did was it did a 180 for him and put him back on the path of sobriety, and like my dad's an incredible human being, and I saw my loving dad, like he's back. And then now he goes to church meetings in the morning, he works out in the afternoon, and then he goes at night again. So I put him on the path, and now he's doing the work after to stay on the path. And it's just like, that's what the medicine did, is it put him back on the path, and now he's working to stay on it. And he's been a rock star. Like, incredible.
That's phenomenal, man. If that's not a testament to what this stuff does, I don't know what is. So I know you have additional healing stories from medicines with your family.
Yeah. I could share one, and I have work, and I have to get ready in 10 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so my dad did it, was healed, and my mom hates my dad's guts for up until this past February. So, and like, she's married him for 40 years. I can only imagine how angry she was. And she wasn't really grasping the ayahuasca. It's a little bit too intense for her because she's never done anything. Just very not receptive of it. And so I was like, okay, what else is there? And I've heard of MDMA therapy, which I've done for healing PTSD for people and marriage reconnection. So there's this therapist that works with team guys that I reached out to, and I brought it to my mom. It's like, hey, there's this you could maybe try if you'd like to. Reject it. No. And she did it this year in February, and the therapist asked me to acquire handwritten letters from everyone in my family, even in Boston. So I got letters from everyone saying whatever they wanted to say to my mom after knowing what happened with the house thing. So I got the envelope. I gave it to my mom. She went to San Diego. I said, Mom, this is a gift for the therapist. Can you please give it to her? She said, sure. Little did she know it was letters from everyone in our family. So she did the ceremony with the therapist, and the therapist said, stay by your phone, and I want to update you on how it's going. So I said, absolutely. And she sends me a picture of my mom sitting on a couch, just absolutely melting in tears, reading these letters. Like she's reading something from people she hasn't heard to in years. Like, she's reading a letter from my dad, which she hasn't seen in years or talked to. And it was just like, I love you, I'm sorry, you're the best mom ever. So she was like massively healed from years, and she's just like so much better now. My mom did it. My mom could do it, you could do it.
Yeah.
She took the leap of faith. She was scared shitless. She still did it, and her whole life has just completely changed and for the better. So I'm so proud of her, and family's back together. Like, my sisters, everyone talks to my dad now, minus my brother.
Awesome.
But it's like, we had Thanksgiving, my parents, just a few weeks ago.
Yep.
They were having Thanksgiving the first time in 4 years.
That's awesome.
And I was like,
that's beautiful, bro. It really is beautiful. And the fact that you and your father are back and have that relationship that you guys once had, I mean, especially for a guy that didn't really have one with his father, that's what touched me when I first heard your story. And it just shows the kind of man you are, So, again, I'm not pandering to my guests, man. I'm just so impressed. Far and above your SEAL career, like, just the man you are is incredible. Your parents should be proud of the man they raised.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It means a lot. I'm definitely lucky to have them. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And listen, this is a great talk, and I hope that someone out there, and I know you're going to be touched by Zack's story just the way I was touched by Penny's story. And if anyone wants to reach out, Zack, please tell them how to do so.
Yeah, so I opened all my Instagram DMs, so it's at Zack Ferg, ZACKKFERG. Man, just like after sharing my story on a couple podcasts, like, I had people reaching out, telling me their story and trauma, and so just reach out if you have any questions about it or just want to know more. I'm happy to do that. So that's like my main one that I communicate with people on, and or come to our gym and train with us in Training Center LA and in Beverly Hills. Just take a jiu-jitsu class or something. We could chat it up. And yeah, for just the last message for anyone, like, just know that there's an answer to what you're feeling. If you're feeling, if you're in a dark place, you have trauma, you can heal from it. There's nothing you can't do. You just can't quit, and you have to like really jump in that deep end to heal, and you can do it.
It's a great message, and just so I can piggyback on that, you are not alone, no matter what you are going through. We've gone through things. I'm not saying we've gone through everything, and I'm not trying to compare anyone's pain, but I promise you are not alone. It's temporary. You could be healed. You could be helped. You have to raise your hand now. Zach and I are not coming to your house and throwing you over our shoulders. It's incumbent upon you to take that first step, but there are plenty of people out there that will heal. If you don't decide a plant-based medicine is for you, traditional counseling, there's plenty of other treatments out there, but there is help. It's a vicious cycle when you're going through it. I understand that. And sometimes you don't think that there's any place to turn. And unfortunately, a lot of you guys think that you are the problem, number one, and if you take yourself out, if you commit suicide, that you're gonna take everyone else's problems away because you're the problem. That is not. You are not the problem. I promise you that. And if you're thinking about hurting yourself, do know this: you are going to be heaping tons of pain onto people. You're not going to be taking pain away from them. So there is help out there, guys. I promise you. Just reach out. And Zach, great time talking to you. Very powerful. Zach and I will probably be doing some co-hosting stuff in the future, hopefully. I'm pumped. He's such a great guy. And, all Zach's links are going to be in the bio. If you guys like this, please hit subscribe and like. And again, Zach, great time talking to you. Thank you once again. And we'll be definitely collaborating in the near future.
Oh, yeah. Love you, brother. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you.
Absolutely, brother. Love you too.